Hi, I'm Sarah Rose, and today I wanted to show you how I make flower crowns and bouquets. So I recently made this pink and blue dress and embroidered some flowers on it, and I thought I needed to make some flower accessories to go with it for pictures and for fun. So let's get started. First, here are the things that you need. I got all of this stuff at Hobby Lobby, but you can easily find it at places like Walmart or things like that. There's a couple type of flower crowns that you can make. You can make ones like these that are full circles, go around the entirety of your head. And then you can make some with little loops at the end where you can put ribbon and adjust the size. Today we're going to make ones with loops on them. So I'm just going to start out by cutting this floral wire, making sure it's the right size for my head, and forming the little loops with my hands. Now, this is really good for if you're not sure if you're going to wear your natural hair or if you're going to wear a wig, because that can adjust the size of your head. So if you make a flower crown for one or the other, it's like a one-purpose kind of thing if you make it a full circle. But if you make it adjustable with the ribbons, you can kind of just do a lot of different things, and it can fit a lot of different people if someone wants to borrow it or anything like that. So I've made the loops. I used some pliers to help me get that wire, and now I'm going to take the floral tape and wrap it around. The trick with this is to wrap it with one hand and with the other hand to pinch it with your fingers and hold it, because it's really just like wax paper, and the warmth of your fingers is going to help melt that wax and help it to stick to itself better. This is sealing in those loops and also going to help give your flowers something to stick to. All of my fake flowers have come from all over. I think some are from the dollar store or Walmart, Hobby Lobby. If you're in America, I definitely recommend going to Hobby Lobby when they have their 50% off sale or 40% off sale on their floral stuff. You can get some really unique, very realistic looking fake flowers and fake foliage for pretty cheap, and it lasts a really long time if you're making small projects like flower crowns. All of this pretty green foliage junk is from Hobby Lobby. I'm using my little cutters here to kind of separate the flowers and kind of give myself an idea what I'm planning for. Really, with the flower crowns, I think about layering, because you can put just a couple little things on there, but you don't want it to look uneven, and you don't want it to look too sparse or too ginormously huge, unless that's what you're going for. So I try to do like a layer of foliage, a layer of filler flowers, those little tiny blue and white flowers, and then some like big statement flowers in there too. So I've got these pink flowers that will hopefully match the dress. Now it's time to put everything together, so I get the floral wire and start wrapping the foliage on first. I'm really just, no rhyme or reason, just kind of going around and around, wrapping the foliage on. Anytime I have a end piece, I try to bend it away from the inside. And that's because if you're wearing a wig or just your natural hair, you don't want any of those wires to get caught on your hair and pull your hair out or pull the wires out either. So you just kind of want to bend those away. But just keep going around and around and around. And here's Button. She likes to supervise and make sure I'm doing a good job. She gives me her opinion on things and, just generally a good friend. And here's Titan. He also is a supervisor, and, they just kind of keep me in line, make sure I'm making the best decisions that I could be, and, step in when things get hairy. All in all, good kids. So now that the foliage is done, I'm kind of playing with the idea of putting on more foliage here, but I end up just kind of going with what I got. I don't want it to be too full to make my head look huge. I already have a big head, let's not help that any. So I'm just going to go on to the filler flowers, and the same thing. I'm going to take my floral wire and just kind of wrap it around. Trying not to put it directly over the flowers, just over all the stems. Get everything nice and secure on there. This part is important, I believe, because you're making a really good base for all your statement flowers. They kind of look a little weird if they're just in the middle and they don't have anything supporting them, or little leaves or flowers around them to tuck them into. Here we've skipped ahead to where I've started adding the statement flowers. Now they've got longer stems, so I'm just kind of squishing them in, and it's going to stick out, and then I use the pliers to make a little curly cue to land on the top of, on the outside of the flower crown. So we'll just stick them in and curve it around. Ooh, I broke it. Sometimes it happens. That's okay. Luckily, I have more. It's always a good idea to just stock up and have a bunch of extra ones, because some of them are cheap and break, and you know, that's okay. So I keep sticking them in, keep making the little curly cues, and we'll kind of anchor those later. At this point in time, if you wanted to use the floral wire to secure them better, you could, but I choose to do some hot glue here in a second. So I'll show you that. So my original few flowers that I got looked a little too sparse, and they ended up looking a little lopsided. So I am cutting some more here to kind of fill in, make it more symmetrical, make it fuller. Because you don't want it to be too sparse and too lopsided. You don't want it to give your head a funny shape. Just like your hair, you know, you wouldn't have it weird on one side or anything like that. So I try to think about being at least a little symmetrical on it, so that it, you know, I'm starting with a good basis. Anything I want to do with my hair is going to look good because it's fairly symmetrical on top of it. So I'm just doing the same thing, squishing them in and making little curly cues. And I'm putting all of the curly cues on the same side of the crown because I only want to hot glue one side of it. And here is all of the flowers are in place. Everything looks good, but the statement flowers aren't like anchored down, so they can move around and the little curly cues are not stable. But I'm putting this hot glue here to kind of anchor them in and make sure that they don't move. I'm using a low temperature hot glue gun because these flowers are made of plastic and other like man-made materials. So you can probably get away with a high temp hot glue gun, but you run the risk of the plastics melting because they're not, you know, particularly high quality plastic or anything. So I always use a low temp, and you know, I won't burn myself as bad, so there's that. And because I'm super extra, I cover up my hot glue with just some regular foliage. So I'm using little pieces of wire to hold the stems on individual leaves. And then after that, I will go back and hot glue the leaves down. So this is just to cover, you know, I just hot glued one side of the crown where the curly cues are, because everything else, like the foliage and the filler flowers, were pretty stable under the wire. So I'm just really doing those big pink statement flowers. So now I've just got that wire, I'm anchoring those little stems, and then I'm going to get my hot glue gun and just kind of stick them on there. And this is helping to anchor those flowers more because they're going directly on top of the curly cues, but it's also covering up all my hot glue strings and wads and all of that stuff. Because if I'm going for like a medieval fantasy outfit, I don't really want like modern techniques showing. I don't want tons of hot glue on there or something like that. The same way that when I make tunics, I usually do hand sewed stitches on the visible seams, just to be extra. This glue gun is just from Walmart. I'm pretty sure it's like $6, so it's very available. And then it's ready to go. Instead of using ribbon, I've got this real fun like twiny trim stuff. So I'm just gonna cut that, put knots at the end so it doesn't unravel, and then it's gonna go through both loops. And that way, when I wear it, I'm just going to tie it in a little bow in the back, and it's going to adjust perfectly to whatever, whoever's head size that they're going to wear. And there's the finished thing. I really like it, although I might go back and put glitter or something on it. I don't know. I try to be historically accurate, but it just doesn't happen. But all in all, I think it turned out really well. I'm very happy with it. It's still very lightweight, even though we put a ton of crap on it. And I think it goes with the dress really well. But here, I have all these flowers left over, and I didn't get to use my navy blue ones because I just wouldn't fit on the crown very well. So I wanted to make a bouquet for if I want to take pictures in this dress. Now, I like making these kind of bouquets because you can hold them for pictures, or you can put them like in half of your basket and have the other half of your basket with your actual real stuff like your camera and your phone and a snack and your water bottle, and cover that up with a little linen cover. And it looks super medievally and cute, and you've got the flowers, which are not that heavy or anything. So it just makes it a very stylized way to carry your items at events. This piece of fabric that I'm using to put them together is just a big square. So I use the square, I fold in the top corner and the bottom corner, placed like a diamond. And once those two corners are pulled in, then you put the flowers on top and fold it up. I have placed a rubber band or hair tie around the flowers to keep them in place, just because, you know, I want this bouquet to last a while in case I carry it around or something like that. I don't particularly want to use like a crap ton of hot glue to glue everything down, so I'm just going to use the hair tie to keep them together. Now I am putting a little bow there, getting everything ready. This bow I thought looked good, and then I looked at it again and it was really wonky. But I still think it looks good at this point, so I am hot gluing it down. So that sucker is stuck there. It's there. I enjoy hot glue in these sort of things because it's not something that has to be particularly durable. If I was making something that really had to take the stress of life and moving and doing lots of stuff, then I wouldn't use hot glue. And here's the leaf I'm just going to put on top of that bow because it's ugly. And here we go. We've got a bouquet. We've got a flower crown. I feel like they both turned out really cute and really fun. And I can't wait to take them somewhere or use them on a photo shoot. And I think it'll be really fun. Here's the final look. My tunic with the embroidery and my two little flower pieces. I love them. The only thing is I plan to wear elf ears with it, but it kind of comes down far, so I'm gonna have to work on that. I don't know if that's gonna work. We'll see. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Comment or DM me or something if you have any questions, and good luck with your projects.